What's up, everybody? Welcome in A to Z Sports Live on a Monday and another Victory Monday for the Tennessee Titans as they are now 7-2 and for the second straight week atop the AFC standings as the number one seed in the American Football Conference through 9 weeks of the NFL season. And without Derrick Henry, without the King, and under 200 yards of offense, the Titans stunned the Rams on Sunday Night Football 28-16. We had a great time last night at Mill Creek Brewing Company out there in Nolensville, watching the game, reacting to the game, a huge post-game show last night. And just about 8 hours later, we're live here once again on the morning show. So, Zach, hope you got a quick sleep from last night and a quick turnaround for us. But after a big-time win like that, it's always fun to get it going. So we're going to hear to talk about an incredible stat that came out of last night's win over the Rams for the Titans and what that might mean for their trajectory throughout the rest of the season. Titans fans are fired up as the Titans stunned the Rams last night. We'll also play you a video of A.J. Brown talking about Jalen Ramsey and the little chirping that went on during the game last night. And it was a great line from A.J. Brown in that video that we're about to play later on in the show. We'll talk to you guys and ask you what was the most eye-opening part of the Titans' domination on the Rams last night. And then I mentioned this in the post-game show, so if you're with us late, we had a huge audience in the post-game show, but if you're with us that late, I told you I had a theory on Adam Schefter tripling down on Derrick Henry out for the season. And we will get to that theory late in the show, and it's bad sales job on a Monday, Zach, and we're all tied up in bad sales job, which I'm looking forward to getting to that at the end of the show. But man, big Monday here as the Titans are rolling with 5 straight wins.
Yeah, bad sales job. I don't know. I don't know if you know, so I may have to educate you. But I'm prepared. But I gotta get back in the winning column. We've been back and forth. It's like a championship bout, blow after blow, and I gotta get back in the victory column. So bringing the heat today on bad sales job, and got a lot to discuss overall. I am curious about your Adam Schefter theory. I actually thought about that this morning prior to our pregame or our pre-show discussion. I was like, what is this theory? I'm
ready for it. I'm gonna go off on Adam Schefter today.
Okay, well, we'll find that out. And the Titans went off on the Rams and disrupted Matthew Stafford in prime time. We've got a lot to discuss. More people will pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. We're broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Twitter has been a little wonky lately, so we've encouraged everybody to go to our YouTube page. It's kind of the easiest way and the smoothest route, that or Facebook, so you can kind of pick your different platforms. But subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a lot more going out, including the Tighten Up Pod. We've got our Preds podcast that is out, which is great because hockey season is back. Buck Rising's prime time. We've got you covered right there on YouTube. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. And on Facebook, what's going on, Facebookers? More people will pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. As you guys do, please share the show. Bottom left corner of your screen. Share, now to public. That is share, now to public. And Tank Sinatra also brings up Will Sports Hub on YouTube, who's a massive Buffalo Bills fan. Oh, he's here. I was like, I wonder what's going to happen. And Sports Hub, who's got that Bills platform. After the Titans beat the Bills, Sports Hub came in here and if you know, you know. If you've been on YouTube, you know. He says, we lost to the Jags, so I'm going to go and cry. Bye. So,
stay Sports Hub.
So, a lot to discuss, Austin. Let's get this party started on a Monday morning after a late Sunday night.
Yeah, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by BetMGM. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media. We're Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and typically Twitter. I'll throw shade on Twitter on Wednesday. That's why I said Wednesday there. But also hit us up on Instagram and TikTok. Make sure you follow us. And we got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for our show and they help out you guys. Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the area at renterswarehouse.com. Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, for one 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com. Your first workout is free. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your car buying process at wilsoncountyhyundai.com, or go see them in Lebanon. And the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. So speaking of the bone and joint, we're going to talk about Derrick Henry and Adam Schefter's tripling down of him being out for the season. But again, if you missed the doc talk from last week from the Bone and Joint Institute, Dr. Watson was phenomenal in that segment. So go check that out on our YouTube channel as well. And I did message back and forth, Zach, with the Bone and Joint Institute. What we're going to do in about 4 to 5 weeks, we're going to revisit and talk to Dr. Watson again to check up on where Derrick Henry should be on this rehab. So it's not a one-time thing. We're going to have a mini series of Derrick Henry doc talk segments, and Dr. Watson was great. And so we're going to continue to talk with him throughout this process of Derrick Henry's recovery. But last night, it didn't matter because the Titans whipped the LA Rams in SoFi Stadium, that beautiful spaceship that they have in Inglewood, California, 28-16, a flat-out domination really from the second quarter on, with the defense getting after Matt Stafford, making him look like Jared Goff with multiple turnovers, 5 sacks in the night, Jeffrey Simmons with 3 in the first half. And it's just pretty incredible about what the Titans continue to do. Whenever they are underdogs, Mike Vrabel has this team playing at its best.
Yeah, and, it was eye-opening. Theron comes in there as a Titans fan, and he says, we owned the night, and that was exactly what they did. They owned it from start to finish, and they got a lead. They did the exact same thing that they did against Kansas City, and the one thing that the Titans have learned to do is hold a lead, right? Now, Indianapolis, they were kind of playing from behind. Buffalo, second half, they had to kind of come back. But the Indy and last night's game proved that even without Derrick Henry, which is, it's pretty amazing that they can hold a lead like that with, a trio of running backs that, let's just say, an old Adrian Peterson, McNichols, who has been, he's been good in spots, but he hasn't been asked to do a whole lot because the King has been carrying the load up until this point. And then you've got Foreman that came basically off the streets. They put together a pretty good performance for what it was worth, and they played their game. And defensively, we talked a lot in that post-game show at Mill Creek on how pressurized their defense is now, and that's something that is unique to this roster compared to the years back. A very impressive win on the road Sunday night without their star. Mike Vrabel, you talk about coaches having their team ready. I felt like last night, Mike Vrabel had his team not worrying about what are we going to do without 22, not worried about the bright lights of LA. The distractions were there, but they never got distracted.
No, they didn't. And you bring up the pressure from the defense. I looked at this stat this morning. The Titans have 23 sacks through 9 games this season. Last year, through 16 games, they only had 19 sacks. And the Titans sack leaders through 9 games, Harold Landry, 9, Jeff Simmons, 5.5, Danico Autry, 5, Ola Adeni, 2.5. Through the entire season last year, Landry had 5.5. He's up by 3.5. Simmons just had 3. And then Daquan Jones and Jack Crawford each had 2. That was the entire year last year. And this year alone, you've got, listen to this. This year alone, you've got Landry, Simmons, and Autry, who have combined in 9 games for more sacks the entire team had in 16 games last year. It's absurd. And that's not the stat that we're talking about that came out of last night's game. Because what the Titans did last night was win their 5th game in a row, and in a 4-game stretch with the Bills on Monday night, the Chiefs at home, at Indianapolis, and at the Rams on Sunday Night Football, we all talked about how it would be fantastic for a 2-2 split. Well, the Titans went sweep on them and won all 4 of them. And here's the key stat that ESPN Stats and Info had last night about this Titans team is the Titans have won 5 straight games, the last 4 of which have come versus playoff teams from last season. The Titans are the 4th team in the last 15 seasons to win 4 straight games, all versus playoff teams from the previous season. The previous 3 teams all made the Super Bowl were the 2009 Saints, the 2010 Packers, and the 2011 Patriots. And the Saints and those Packers won the Super Bowl that year. The Patriots lost in the Super Bowl for the second time to the Giants. So again, 4 straight wins over playoff teams from the year before. The Titans, the 4th team to do that in the last 15 years, and everybody else that did it went to the Super Bowl. I mean, this team has big aspirations and high expectations, and Derrick Henry's not going to be around for the next 2 months. We'll see how that progresses, but can the Titans get to that point? And we all thought with Henry, with Julio, with this defense progressing like this, and A.J. Brown and Tannehill, the Super Bowl was the goal. And it looks like this team has the makeup for it.
No, it does. And, beating good teams in the NFL is tough. I mean, we've seen that where teams, they kind of fall short in weeks. The Titans to the Jets, the Bills, their sports hub out there. Shout out to the Bills losing to the Jags in Jacksonville. But the Titans haven't been a part of that over the last 4 weeks. They've had really stiff competition they're respectable names. Josh Allen and the Bills, be it of what happened yesterday, they're a damn good football team. They're well coached. They've got a good defense, and they have a high-scoring offense. Yesterday was an anomaly of their season. And the Titans, I felt like that Monday night game, that was back and forth, right? That was just a great game. That was a good football team, 2 quality teams, and it came down to 1 play. Now, you could say Josh Allen slipped, but he slipped, right? 4th down, the game's over, right? And Big Jeff helped him after he slipped go down instead of push forward for that 1st down. Kansas City is a shell of themselves, but they still have Patrick Mahomes, which is regarded as one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if not the best. I mean, he's unbelievable. He doesn't have the same team and structure that he had the last couple of years. And then the Colts at home with the backs against the wall, I mean, that was a must-win game, and they had been playing well. I do think this is very telling on what happened last night and the last 3 weeks of the Titans being able to beat quality opponents. That is an attribute that Mike Vrabel's team, since he became head coach, has always kind of had. And that's a great characteristic trait, whatever you want to call it, that you want in a football team. That when push come to shove and you're in a big game, there's some confidence in your football team that you can go in, whether it's on the road or at home, and win.
Good morning, Chris John, LA Rams fan that just after watching his team getting smacked by the Titans, Chris John says the Titans are terrible. Well, I mean, if that's the case, then Chris, Mr. 2 first names, I mean, then the Rams are even worse than terrible. If you think the Titans are terrible, the Rams are even worse than that after that performance with your quarterback who is dropping in the MVP voting as well, where Matt Stafford had a bad game. And by the way,
that really hurt his stock. One game is not going to do it, but that on prime time against the Derrick Henry-less team, I mean, he was forced to throw the ball 48 times, and they got 16 points, and they really only got 9. They backdoored some points at the end of the game. So, that was a damning performance for Matthew Stafford, who was in the MVP conversation. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and he's dropped. I saw some odds this morning. He's down like 4th or 5th. All of a sudden, Tom Brady is like right there. Kyler Murray's hurt. Derrick Henry's hurt. Aaron Rodgers got COVID. Josh Allen loses to the Jags. I mean, like everybody's just like just dropping. Patrick Mahomes is average. It's pretty crazy what happens there. So Chris John also follows up and says the Rams played bad and let the Titans win. Well, the Titans beat the Rams and caused issues. There's a reason why. Well, and this leads us
never once. Okay, dude, you lost, Chris John Chris, whatever your name is. You lost when you said a team let them win. That's wrong. You didn't watch the game. I know you did watch the game, Chris. So just be better and take it on the chin and move on. It's an NFC AFC. It's not even a rival, right? It's like a singular game. It doesn't really affect the division that the Rams are trying to win. And the Titans, it was a It wasn't a must win by any means. I think it was more for the Titans. It was more of a must win for themselves. They had to prove to themselves that they were going to be okay. It's like life after a breakup. You got to get out there and you got to be like, okay, my world's turned upside down. Do I still have it? And I think the Titans proved last night to themselves that they're still a good football team. And I think that's very important moving forward.
Yeah, so let's talk about the most impressive thing and the most eye-opening thing we saw from the Titans' domination of the Rams Sunday night. So what was the most eye-opening part of the Titans' domination of the Rams on Sunday Night Football? But real quick, let me tell you guys about that workout I'm getting in later today. That's Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness. 1 15-minute workout equals 5 or more hours in the weight room. How is that even possible? How does 15 minutes at Mandu equal 5 hours in the gym? Full body electronic muscle stimulation. Mandu.com. Your first workout is absolutely free. And if you tell them A to Z Sports sent you, they'll give you $100 off your first month when you sign up. That's at Mandu.com. Let them help you achieve your fitness goals at Mandu.com.
I have a question. I'm going to tell about BetMGM. I have to. This is not shade on you, Austin. I'm just bringing this up. You brought up that Chris John has 2 first names. Wouldn't we put you in that category as well, as Austin is a first name and Stanley is a first name?
I don't think Stanley's a first name. And
Stan? I mean, there's plenty of Stans in this world. I just got to bring that up because you can't rip on a guy when you're in the same box.
But my 2 first names are not as obvious as Chris John. Like, that was a funny comment. I saw that. Now, technically, I have 3 first names, but that's a mystery for another day.
Well, the only name you need to know is BetMGM. They got you covered with a risk-free bet for new users up to $1,000. Code ATOZ Sports. ATOZ Sports. Download the app today. They are the king of the sports books, and they are the title sponsor of our morning show. So if your name's Brandon or Chad Gomer or whatever, they got you right there. BetMGM. Right there on the screen.
Well, and then, of course, we've got a freaking Stanley watching the show right now. Damn it, Stanley McMurray Jr. and your father. Damn you guys. Stanley is a bad first name.
We're going to start calling you Austin Dallas.
Oh, I've never heard that one before. Good one, Zach. It's like I've never heard somebody be like, oh, Austin, like Texas, howdy, partner. Like, that's never happened in my entire life.
Man, this took a turn. That was really funny. Wow.
It was funny. All right, so what was the most impressive, what was the most eye-opening part of the Titans' domination over the Rams last night? And I will start this off to kind of get us back on tracks for making fun of myself. And all of you guys jumping on me. To me, the most eye-opening part was I did not expect the Rams O-line to be that bad. Like, I really like the Titans front four. The Titans front four.
When was the last time you could say that?
2008. 2008. But I really do like all of them up front, right? Because, and this doesn't even include T.R. Tart. I think he's a really good player. But you've got the 2 Bulldogs, and there's marketing. I feel like every big Victory Monday, we always come up with a marketing idea for the Titans.
Yeah, but I hate your idea that you're about to say. It's probably good, but I hate it.
But the 2 Bulldogs are playing like Bulldogs right now with Mississippi State guys of Danico Autry and Jeff Simmons. There needs to be some Bulldog marketing around those 2 guys playing next to each other, playing like absolute Bulldogs up there. And then you've got the speed on the outside of Landry and Dupree, and then the supporting cast of Ola Daney, T.R. Tart, Laurel Murchison, and some others that are playing really, really well. But the Titans, I did not expect the Titans to dominate the front like that of the LA Rams. I thought this would be a game where Matt Stafford would have a lot of time to complete passes down the field, but he was running around. He was getting pushed out of the gates. Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry set the tone of that game last night. And that really opened my eyes more than anything else.
You talk about the junkyard dogs or the Bulldogs. I think that it's so unique in their 2 different skill sets. Danico Autry has really impressed me with his speed. I didn't realize he has quickness for a defensive tackle.
That's why I said he was an A+ signing. Remember when
you were correct on that.
You gave me a hard time. I said Danico Autry was an A+ free agent signing, and look what he's doing out here.
And he is playing at an A+ level. I will fully. You got that 100% correct. I did not see that coming, and I didn't see the impact. I thought he was going to help Jeffrey Simmons, but he's really allowing Jeffrey Simmons to thrive. Jeffrey Simmons on 3 different occasions, just and actually probably more, just manhandles. You know, the best part is Aaron Donald was on the field last night. It really made you think about Aaron Donald and what he is able to do as a game wrecker. There are only a handful of game wreckers in this league at that position, and I believe that Jeffrey Simmons is coming into their own. Now, unfortunately, it ruined the Titans' ability to draft because they think that every hurt guy can become Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. They got great value where they picked Simmons. He was able to recover from his ACL prior to the draft, and he has been nothing short of, and I'll pull a word that we used in the postgame show, one of our viewers, phenomenal. He has been phenomenal. I mean, it has been unreal, and those tag team brothers down there in the trenches are making everybody's life easier, right? They're making it. And you said 2008. I would agree with you because they had the group that worked together, right? And now you have the group that helps everybody. It helps the secondary get in spots. It helps the linebackers, and it helps the pass rush. And it really makes it hard on the offense to do what they want to do and get to their spots. And you saw that last night with Matthew Stafford. Uncomfortable. And even when he had time, the coverage down the field was good, where he was throwing balls away. It was disrupting his timing. So, man, what a great performance last night by that defense.
Yeah, I'm going to read some comments here. Chad says Simmons and Autry play off of one another, which is propelling Landry and Bud. The D-line is like the O-line. You have to be able to work together. And then, like, you add in, like, David Long Jr., knifing through. Like, David Long Jr. has to be the slipperiest linebacker I've seen play for the Titans in a bit. Like, the guy's near unblockable for how he can kind of slide through gaps and avoid blocks to get in the backfield. He did it and blew up a screen pass early in the game where I saw the Rams actually had a nice screen set up, but David Long was so aggressive and fast to get to Stafford to disrupt it. He blew up the play. And so you've got the front guys that are playing so well that allows guys like David Long and Jayon Brown, Amani Hooker and Byard and Rashaan Evans when he's back to play free. Like, those guys are playing free and fast because the front 4 dudes are so, just banging everybody up there.
Yeah. So let's ask the question, Austin. I'm curious to see, what was the most eye-opening part of the Titans' domination of the Rams Sunday night to you?
Yeah, that was mine. It was that's like I came out of the gates with my answer. It was the domination up front of Autry and Simmons out of the gate. Out of the gate, the Rams did not have an answer for those 2 guys in the middle, whether it was sacking Stafford or batting the ball down at the line of scrimmage. That's my answer.
So my answer, and I could go Kevin Byard, and I think Kevin Byard is probably, it's one of many correct answers. But Austin, I think the difference in the game, and I don't think it describes necessarily eye-opening. It was eye-opening to the Rams defense. Is 4th down. To instead of get to 17 to get to 21, that was the difference in the game, in my opinion. That put them further away, where the Rams, I think, really started to think, wow, this is going to be tough to come back in the second half. And if they get a stop there, the game's completely changed, right? So don't even think about 17-3. You're thinking about 14-3, and you're within grasp, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I thought that play call with Mike Vrabel on 4th down and the rollout, as I said, eye-opening to the Rams defense because they did not see that coming. But Austin, you and I think maybe even you said that when we were watching the game at Mill Creek, is like, this seems like Tannehill time, right? Tannehill run. This is what they like to do down there in those red zone areas. Now, you don't have Derrick Henry anymore, but you know what? Mike Vrabel stayed true to his word this week. And I respect that. He said, we're not going to change who we are. We're going to continue to do the things that have gotten us to this point. And they did that, right? They stayed aggressive, like Mike Vrabel coaches, and they got Tannehill in space so he could use his athleticism to get into the end zone and really put the game out of reach. I mean, the game was out of reach for the Rams the rest of the way because of that touchdown.
Done. They won it. It was that drive won the game for the Titans because that got them to 21, and the Rams only could sneak in 16 at the very end there. And look at this. Ryan Tannehill's got 4 rushing touchdowns this season. He's only got 11 through the air and 8 interceptions. So his passing stats are not as impressive as they've been the last couple of years, but 4 rushing touchdowns. And what he's been able to do, he's ran the ball 25 times, Zach. He's ran the ball 25 times. 17 of his carries have converted for first downs.
That's unbelievable.
And 2 times, one was a quarterback sneak on a 4th and inches, and the other was a quarterback boot for a touchdown on 4th and goal. So, I mean, it's really impressive of what Tannehill has been able to do with his legs at timely situations so far this year. A to Z Sports here live. Now we've got a Saints fan in the chat who's just blowing up the comment section saying how the Titans lost the Jets when the Saints just lost to the Falcons yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Just read that on real quick. The Saints have a backup quarterback. Their season is now destroyed. The NFC is too good. The Saints are going to struggle to make the playoffs. They don't have their quarterback anymore.
And the Saints starting quarterback right now was not good enough to beat out Logan Woodside as the Titans backup last year.
Right. And they, if you watched any of that Falcons game yesterday, which that Saints fan did, rough, tough scene for the Saints because they got some big problems offensively. They just can't move the football like they used to. And Sean Payton is an unbelievable head coach, but you gotta have the ingredients, right? You gotta have the you can have the recipe, but you gotta have the ingredients. And Trevor Siemian is just he's not gonna be that for you.
And we've got a lot of time to come up with talk about the Saints game, but I think Mike nails it. Stop Alvin Kamara and it's a wrap, right? Alvin Kamara is in. Look, Marquez Callaway, 2 former Vols that our audience is familiar with, are good players, but the Saints don't have a quarterback right now, and that's the problem with them. But anyway, so going back to our eye-opening players or eye-opening parts of the Titans win last night, because several of you guys, and there's been a lot of comments, and so they're already scrolled out where we can't go back to them. But I think there are 2 defensive players that we haven't brought up today that played really well last night. Obviously, Big Jeff, Autry, Dupree, Landry has at least a half a sack in 7 straight games. That's a hell of a performance and a hell of a breakout season for Harold Landry as he continues. We've talked about Byard. We've talked about David Long. We talked about Jalen Brown. Guys, Chris Jackson and Amani Hooker were phenomenal last night. Like, Chris Jackson's a 7th-round pick out of Marshall who played all different types of positions in college and has, gotten beat his fair share of times in his early young NFL career. But Chris Jackson's playing really well and playing pretty good football over the last couple of weeks. And Amani Hooker, now that he's gotten back from his injury that he had after the first game of the season, that key tackle in the open field on 3rd down on the Rams running back was really impressive because it led to the Matt Stafford stumble 4th down attempt that really sealed the game for the Titans overall, that led them to go up 28-9.
Well, and you mentioned Amani Hooker. I feel like Amani Hooker, he got hurt right earlier in the season. He was injured. He was on IR. Like, this is the Amani Hooker that I think we both, or at least I expected. He was one of my breakout defensive players, and he's starting to, maybe at the perfect time for a defense that is playing really well, to kind of be the Amani Hooker that we thought was going to replace Kenny Vaccaro, who played well, maybe not necessarily last year, but the year before. He gave this team an added spark when Jonathan Cyprien went down before the season, and he actually came on to the Titans, earned a contract. That ran its course. This was the year of Amani Hooker to come in and solidify and to be, we talk about Bash Brothers, the Bash brother right next to Byard. Byard has realized that there's some value there because he's swarming the ball. That pick 6 by Byard, that was play beautiful recognition.
Oh my God. I cannot wait to watch the end zone view of that to see just Byard's immediate recognition.
He knew it was an out route the entire time.
Yeah. And he came from a safety spot around like the flat curl area and just jumped that thing faster than I've ever seen. So
And
I brought
Omar
up
brings this up. Omar, also Fulton.
that was what I was going
back.
to say, because I bring this stat back, right? The Titans have won 4 games in a row against playoff teams from last season. The 4th team to do that in 15 years. The other 3 went to the Super Bowl. They've won those 4 games against playoff opponents without their best corner. Christian Fulton's been on IR. He was there for the Jags win that started this 5-game winning streak, and then Christian Fulton goes on injured reserve, and he hasn't been designated to return yet. But they lost Caleb Farley, so they're playing right now with Jackrabbit Jenkins, who's played better, started to settle in a little bit, Chris Jackson, Elijah Molden, a rookie, and some Breon Borders on the outside as well, because Greg Maben was down yesterday. So the Titans are piecing together their secondary on the outside, and they've won 4 straight against Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Carson Wentz, and Matt Stafford.
We talked about it a little bit. I believe the Saints made the playoffs last year. That's got to be a record.
Yeah,
they did. They lost to Tampa.
I know, but I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know what that stat says, but yeah, 5 straight wins over playoff teams from a year ago would be pretty special.
We'd have to go back and look at those other 3 teams, see who they played in that next week, but that would be something. All right, Austin. Before we move forward and hear AJ Brown, who, man, this audio and video that we're going to show you is really, really good. It is. You felt the emotion from AJ Brown and Jalen Ramsey on the field just watching it, right? AJ Brown's going to speak about this, but Austin, before we get to that topic, I do want to ask you this.
Yeah.
What do we think about where Taylor Lewan is? He's obviously not helping the team by not playing. I mean, what do we think about that? I mean, Lewan, he dressed pregame warmups. He was waving to the camera to try to get some FaceTime. And I remember I turned to you, I said, he's doing his warmups, and Jack Collinsworth and Chris Sims, they're down there on the field, and he's sitting there waving to the camera. Then all of a sudden, he doesn't play a snap.
Yeah, and I heard Mickey Ryan and Blaine Bishop talk about this last night, that Mike Keith was caught off guard by this. When the Titans took the field for their first snap, Mike Keith says, "Oh, that's Bobby Hart's at left tackle." Like, it was a shock. It was kind of a shock there to everybody, because Sunday Night Football, NBC went through their, Taylor Lewan, Michigan, left tackle or whatever. Like, the players doing that without Bobby Hart. And so Buck wrote about this last night during the game, because Buck was able to do some reporting and digging there with some of the people he talked to about why Lewan was out. And then Vrabel talked about this after the game, that it was the same type of situation as Bud Dupree in week 3 against the Colts. Bud Dupree was dressed out, but did not play a single snap in that game against the Colts, because he was there for emergency reasons only. And so Lewan was the same way, that his knee, he did not practice on Friday because of his knee, his ACL knee, that's now cost him 2 games this season. The Seahawks game from a pregame injury.
3 because of that first one.
Yeah, but he played. But yeah, I get okay. But still, yeah. But now Lewan, I don't know. Like, the Titans are 2-0 without Taylor Lewan playing, and they've beaten the Seahawks and the Rams, 2 really good quarterbacks at that time of the season. And so it's really interesting to see what's happening with Lewan. They need him. They absolutely need him this year.
No, I don't discredit that, but they also don't need the roller coaster. Right? Don't you feel like they need somebody that they can concentrate on and that can solidify the position? And Lewan, it's not Lewan's fault that his knee is not 100%. That he's coming off of an ACL injury.
Right.
He is a 300-pound man. Like, it's tough, and it hasn't healed obviously the way that he has hoped. But I mean, it's kind of a yo-yo, right? That really shocked me last night that he didn't play a snap.
Yeah, Ben brings up a good point. I imagine that long flight wasn't good for his knee either. Like, if Lewan missed practice on Friday, then had to fly to LA, that might get it. Hold on. I'll let you talk. Dogs are barking.
Well, no, and I think Lewan, he's still a leader of this team. The distraction and what he's become with buzzing with the boys and he recognized that was going to create more attention towards him. And this team. There's not another guy that has a live podcast that is a live active player, and it's going to bring some criticism. And he knew that going into it, but now you're getting into a season where you're 7-2. You're the best team in the AFC. They need your services, but you cannot be consistent. And that's what NFL football is all about. Ben Jones has been, I feel like, taped together for the last 9 weeks. And he's done a really good job to make sure, and that's valuable. That center, as you know, you got to get that snap back. The center is a leader on that offensive line in controlling things. But Lewan, I don't know. I'd be very curious over the next several weeks to see if he can get back right, or if this is going to be just a continuation throughout the rest of the season of, well, Lewan needs a week off.
Yeah. You know, and if you can give him a week off and you still win the game against the Rams, I mean, that just makes you feel even better because, look, and Bobby Hart is one of the reasons why the Titans offense had under 200 yards of total offense last night, because Bobby Hart had 15 yards of penalties on the same drive. Bobby Hart could not hold up in the pass protection, so they could not call plays down the field. That's why the longest play was 16 yards, and it was an in-cutting route to A.J. Brown to lead up to the Adrian Peterson touchdown. So Lewan has 8 games, 8 opportunities to prove himself.
Do you think they need to shut him down for a period, right? Like, does he need 3 weeks? I'm throwing out ideas.
No,
this is just a brainstorming session.
Yeah, it's brainstorm. That's fine. But I think because we just watched the Titans do the same thing with Bud Dupree, and they did not put Bud Dupree on IR, they were just able to let him chill for a couple weeks and get that knee back after he played against Arizona and then played against Seattle and missed that third game. Does Lewan, is he fine next week at home against the Saints where he gets a week of rehab and no flight? I think Ben's point about a 5-hour flight to LA makes a lot of sense on messing with that knee.
All right, we got some good video of A.J. Brown talking about his confrontations. And look, that was a big part of the game because as we noticed last night and said that on our halftime and postgame show, Jalen Ramsey should have been, by the books, the rule book of the NFL should have been ejected. He was not. For some odd reason, maybe it was prime time, but he was not ejected. A.J. Brown did speak about that after the game. I thought that was pretty telling.
Yes, and so we'll play this video here in a second, but first, Zach, tell us about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go to get your next vehicle. If you're in the Nashville area, Wilson County Hyundai has you covered. Go to wilsoncountyhyundai.com, look at their inventory, and pick out the perfect ride for you, whether it's the Hyundai Sonata, which I own and I absolutely love. Got that sunroof open. I mean, even though the cool breeze is going, it is nice. Dominating the streets in a Hyundai just feels right. And you know what else feels right? The 2021 SUV called the Palisade. Yes, full-size SUV, third row seating. You've got captain seats right there in the back, and you've got all the bells and whistles when it comes to technology. That's wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Don't forget, download the BetMGM app. They are the king of sportsbooks. Use our code ATOZ Sports, and when you use our code ATOZ Sports, you get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 with your first deposit. But today, how about this? Because today you can use code ATOZ200 and you put a $10 moneyline wager down on tonight's game and you win $200 if either team scores a touchdown. So maybe you don't want to put a big first deposit in for that risk-free bet up to $1,000. Maybe you want a nickel and dime it, which is totally fine. You can jumpstart your bankroll by using code ATOZ200, and a $10 moneyline wager wins you $200 in free bets when either team scores a touchdown, regardless of your moneyline wager outcome. It's great. So visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years or older, must be present in Tennessee. And for gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Here live on this Monday, Titans beat the Rams 28-16. Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Brown had some chirping going on. They both got called for unsportsmanlike penalties after the play in the first half. It should have been an ejection for Jalen Ramsey on A.J. Brown. But here was A.J. Brown when he was asked about it last night in the postgame press conference.
Detriment to the team. I don't mind the chirping. I don't mind chirping, but little things after the play, like little dirty stuff, and then I'm not going for it. I'm a man first, and I'm here to play football. And I'm not trying to, I'm not out here trying to fight nobody, but I'm not taking no shit though. So.
What type of dirty stuff?
I mean, as you saw the game, I'm not gonna get into all that. We got the dub, and I'm not about to make it about me and him. He knows me. He has my number if you want to see me. Simple.
A lot of people, AJ, surprised.
That ain't no threat on that. I'm just saying he knows me. So if you want to talk to me and get at me, he got my number.
That's a great line. If he wants to get at me, he's got my number.
I like how he corrected it. It is not a threat. This is just
it's just the facts.
Jalen Ramsey is like, I don't want to say is because there's only one of these guys, but is like the Dennis Rodmans, the Ron Artests of the world, the disruptors. Now, Jalen Ramsey is a top cornerback in the league, just like Dennis Rodman was a top defender in the NBA at the time that he was the disruptor for the Bulls or his time with Detroit, whatever. And so when you go into a game like this, every superstar knows who the disruptor is and what's going to happen. You saw it last night, and Jalen Ramsey had himself a game early on. That pick brought the momentum. And A.J. Brown doesn't pull any punches because he has that swagger that everybody loves. The swag he brings, the 1K change, trying to get 1Ks, that you love that. And he has emerged from Ole Miss as a top wide receiver in this league. It's pretty unbelievable. When you get two, you talk about, you get two guys in the ring that are really good at what they do, there's going to be some jawing, especially when you have a disruptor like Ramsey. We saw that last night. He should have been ejected based on the NFL rules, but I liked and respected what AJ said. I'm a man first. Treat me like that. We can play hard. We can do all that stuff, but after Jalen Ramsey intercepted that ball and he basically ran AJ over, who was already on the ground, that's uncalled for. That is the stuff that goes over the edge, kind of like the Rodman and Artest type deals that you saw in the NBA years ago. It's just too much, and you saw it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jalen Ramsey used to be trailing the Titans by 3 scores for his entire career. So I understand that there's frustration with Jalen Ramsey.
Except for when he iced the Titans in Jacksonville a handful of years ago with that pick six. So
after Mariota snapped his leg in half.
Yeah, I will say that. And the Titans needed that game, and they didn't get it. So you're right. And he has been, getting destroyed by Derrick Henry for most of his life, just like everybody else. But Jalen Ramsey is an outstanding corner. And everybody would want to have him on their team because of his play on the field.
Yeah, and you remember this. It wasn't too long ago where Jalen Ramsey goes on a Bussin' with the Boys podcast and said he would love to either play in L.A. or the Titans. Or no, he said Vegas for the Titans. And that was when he was with the Jags. And Jalen Ramsey's from here. Jalen Ramsey's he's a great player. And part of what makes him a great player is this type of stuff. Is getting in the head of A.J. Green and making A.J. Green throw actual punches on the field. It's doing this type of stuff to A.J. Brown. Did it have an impact on A.J. Brown? I don't know. A.J. didn't play well last night. He dropped a couple passes, at least 2 that he dropped that could have converted for first downs and kept drives alive instead of Titans ended up punting. So A.J. got the last laugh and the last word in because his team won and he beat Jalen Ramsey on that 16-yard catch on 3rd down that led to the Adrian Peterson touchdown that put the game completely on ice. So A.J. got the last word, but did it impact AJ a little bit? I don't know. We'll never know that just because I don't think words or Jalen Ramsey chirping and AJ Brown causes him to drop. But I do know this. AJ Brown is struggling with drops this season. Yeah. And it's a problem that the Titans have been able to get away with because drops against Seattle could have cost them and drops last night could have cost them, but it didn't.
Yeah, and he has got to play better. He'd tell you that himself.
Sure.
That uncharacteristic drops. Usually AJ hands catcher. And you saw a couple of times last night where you got to make the play. one on third down that would have extended a drive that he dropped, and both of them, I guess.
Yeah.
I remember that third down at the sticks that was just a clear, you catch the ball. I mean,
and then the one that was kind of the over the shoulder where he alligator armed it.
Yeah, he short armed it. You're absolutely right. So AJ, look, but one thing, AJ Brown, just like any great player, continues to work on his craft and get in the jugs machine. We'll try to work on that. But you're right, Austin. AJ Brown has got to be better down the stretch, now even more so because they don't have Derrick Henry. I mean, he emerges as the best offensive weapon that they have. I mean, instantly. It is number 11. It's not Julio Jones. It's not Michael Pruitt. It's not Adrian Peterson at 36 years old. AJ Brown is the best offensive weapon they have.
Well, and look, AJ Brown had he had a bad game last night, but look, he's been phenomenal the previous 3, right? 5 catches on 11 targets for just 42 yards is not AJ Brown. Last week, he had 11 targets and caught 10 of them and went for a $155 and a 57-yard touchdown. So, like,
they're any of the best cornerback in the league on him. I mean, Jalen Ramsey's the best corner.
But again, like, he had 2 of those drops. Like, it changes his stat line and the Titans' offensive performance drastically if AJ catches those 2 passes where he was open and the ball hit him in the hands.
Yeah, and makes me $100 because I had over 5.5 catches
all you need was
on
one.
BetMGM, and all I got was 5.
I mean, if he catches those 2 that he dropped, he's got at least 7 for like 60+ yards.
Yeah.
And now you're not as worried about this. And who knows what would have come after with more snaps instead of having to punt the ball twice.
Are we surprised? And we saw G-Man on Base, who watches the show consistently, now on YouTube. So shout out, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. He says he went to the game. He was out there in LA. The media out there not giving the Titans props. What do you think that they're saying?
Which media? Like, G-Man's in LA. So is he listening to national media or is he listening to local LA media? Because, like, local LA media is going to focus on the Rams' perspective, just like we focus on the Titans' perspective. When the Titans lose the game to the Cardinals or the Jets, we focus on why the Titans lost that game, not the other way around, because the audience cares about it that way. So you have to think about who you're listening to. And G-Man says local LA. Yeah, local LA is going to talk about Matt Stafford making 2 terrible throws and bad decisions and the offensive line not being able to block.
That was a bad game. That was a bad game by Matthew Stafford. You know, like before a game when you have a stat line or you have something, a strategy that you don't want, that's what the Rams were forced to do. Throw the ball 48 times, 2 interceptions, 1 for a pick 6, both to give the Titans better field position for an offense that didn't have their best player. It went from bad to worst, and then they couldn't convert on 4th downs in the second half. That also is a big reason they kicked field goals instead of touchdowns. I mean, the game is different if those 2 field goals to get to 9 are touchdowns. You know, you're now 17-21, and you're pressing a little differently.
And we've seen the Titans in a couple of big spots hold really good quarterbacks to field goals. The first quarter against the Bills, it wasn't 14-0, it was 6-0 Bills. Henry rips off 76 yards, touchdown. Now it's 7-6 Titans. Last night, it was 3-0 Rams, not 7-0. And then it was just 6. Then it was 9 against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs out of the gates to start the second half. It was not a touchdown to make it 27-7. It was a field goal, and that was it, right? So the Titans' defense has been great when it's come to forcing field goals inside of the red zone. Instead of giving up touchdowns, which is really like a night and day from what they were last season.
All right, Austin, I'm ready, and I think the audience is ready. I want to hear your theory on Adam Schefter, and he's done this more than 3 times. I've heard it probably close to 6 through all the coverage last week.
Right,
and has emphasized might be out for the rest of the season or out for the rest of the year. I want to hear your theory on why Adam Schefter is doing that, while Ian Rappaport and other reporters are kind of going more, it's going to be 6 to 10 weeks, and there's a good possibility he could be back for the playoffs. That's optimism and pessimism. What does Schefter know, or what is he doing that is making him so down on Derrick Henry returning?
All right, I'll tell you my theory on Adam Schefter tripling down or more on Derrick Henry out for the season. Real quick, let me tell you guys about Renters Warehouse and renterswarehouse.com, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. Simply go to renterswarehouse.com to find out how much your home can rent for. There's so many different ways that Renters Warehouse can benefit you and your family by creating extra cash flows for you and your family, and by making your rent estate investment go a long way into long-term equity, which helps your long-term wealth and get retirement plan ready at renterswarehouse.com. They do all of the work. You just get the money every month right into the account. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go.
You can just get the money by downloading the BetMGM app. And if you're a new user, use code ATOZ200 for a $10 moneyline wager to win $200 if either team scores a touchdown tonight. The Pittsburgh Steelers are hosting the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields trying to disrupt the AFC North and win the NFC North after the Packers lost yesterday. We'll see Justin Fields and the Steelers. You could win $200 for new users. Use that promo code ATOZ200. That's special just for tonight on BetMGM.
All right, so my theory on Adam Schefter going hard on Derrick Henry being out for the season is not because I'm salty about Adam Schefter breaking the news in A to Z Sports or any other local media not breaking the news, as much as Braden Gall wants to think that on Twitter. I'm thinking that Adam Schefter has caught himself lonely atop of a hill that he is ready to die on because he's planted his flag that Adam Schefter thinks Derrick Henry is out for the season. One, I don't understand what source could even think to say definitively that he is out for the season. Even the surgeon who performed the procedure on Derrick Henry's Jones fracture cannot tell you definitively or not that Derrick Henry is out for the season. What we know is that this injury, it's been said by several different orthopedic surgeons who specialize in this. It's reported on by everybody else besides Adam Schefter that it's a 6 to 10 week recovery. There was 10 weeks left in the regular season. Players have started recovering quicker than 10 weeks over the last 5 to 10 years. And there's a potential for the Titans to bring Derrick Henry back. And Mike Vrabel himself is not ruling out Derrick Henry. Nobody is ruling out Derrick Henry except for Adam Schefter. My theory is this. Adam Schefter is saying, according to my sources, Derrick Henry will be out for the year with this injury. And now, if Derrick Henry comes back, he can say, Derrick Henry is the most marvelous running back. He came back when my sources said he was out. Derrick Henry is so good, so beastly of a human that he comes back early from this. I think Adam Schefter is doing a little WWE spin on this, where he's either right or he gets to prop up how beastly Derrick Henry is, therefore he doesn't lose. But there is no way you can definitively say that any athlete with 10 weeks left in the regular season is done for the year with this injury. With an ACL, yeah. If you tear something, if you tear a biceps, yeah, that makes sense. But you cannot definitively say this. The surgeon doesn't even know, and he performed the procedure. It's impossible to do that. It's a dumb hill to die on, and it's really weird, to be honest, because why would Adam Schefter be so adamant about a player not being able to do something? It just feels weird to me.
I mean, I think you brought up a lot of valid points there that I don't disagree with. I think the one caveat that I would say is the position that he plays. That's going to be the most difficult part because he is a cut runner, right? They run a zone running scheme that he cuts back against and tries to get up. And that's probably, honestly, what injured it, right? Is that Jones fracture is a fracture, right? So it's not a complete clean break, but there's a fracture in that particular bone. It also, it's a stress type fracture. That is how it probably got to a point where against Indianapolis early on in that game, the injury occurred but it haggled him. It didn't keep him out of the damn game. He had 25 plus carries after that. I think probably what Adam Schefter is doing, it's not like he's Carson Wentz or Quentin Nelson or wide receiver. I mean, you are a running back. And so I believe, and I said this on the pregame show yesterday that I would disclose, I believe Derrick Henry will return. In what capacity, I have no idea. And you hope that the Titans have figured out a lot about themselves over the next. Derrick Henry is a gamer. Derrick Henry is a team-first guy. And I do know for a fact that that team had highs and lows after the Indianapolis Colts game. They came in and it was sheer joy because that was a hard-fought game against Indy. They knew they had to win it for the division. It was a celebration. And then all of a sudden, Derrick came in with the news that it wasn't good. Now, he didn't know the ins and outs. They still had to get the MRI the next day. But that deflated the sails of the team in a moment that they were celebrating a big-time win over a division rival. I think Derrick means too much to the team, and he knows that. Like that's what he's become, right? The leadership that Derrick Henry has, the face of the franchise, has been earned, not given. And he's earned that over the last several years. And he's done that with his play and just what he brings to the team. I don't think there is a way. I mean, medically, if he cannot run or walk, or if he has setbacks, obviously that will hinder his comeback.
Right, but again, like Adam
but this
Schefter,
is not it. But as you probably knew last week, this is an injury that can efficiently heal in the amount of time that they have.
Yeah.
Plus, Austin, I'm going to sprinkle a little magic dust on here. If the Titans, who are 7-2, get a bye, that's another week for Derrick Henry, which would be absolutely massive. And I think they proved last night they are capable of being the number one seed in the AFC.
Yes. And so why I have such a problem with the Adam Schefter thing is because I don't know how a source knows anything. Like he tweeted yesterday and somebody asked, I think Bobby asked, like, have you watched the segments on ESPN? Yes. Schefter has gone on national TV, started with Monday Night Football last week, saying that Derrick Henry likely done for the season, which you just can't say that. Like, indefinite is a more responsible word to say and to use with the Derrick Henry. Like, why would you do that? Because and who is this source? Because when Adam Schefter said, according to one source, is done for the year. Like, what? He didn't say source.
No. To clarify, and I will, with the knowledge that I have to the situation, he came out and said that the Titans fear that Derrick Henry could be out for the season. And I will say there was a fear that Derrick Henry, once confirmed that it was a Jones fracture because of the timetable and the position, they did fear that he could be out for the season. So that was swirling around.
Pre-MRI. Yes, that was Sunday night after the Colts game, and Monday morning, the initial tweet
He just didn't alter his report.
No, he did. No, because he went from a fear that he could be out to done for the season.
And likely, MB is correct. He did also say it's likely. And I heard that because, I mean, it's just like everybody watching this show right now on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. After the Derrick Henry injury, I was searching for things to read, things to soak up. I watched, I think, a segment of Get Up, which I never do. Like, I was really messed up, right? But everybody was looking for. And Schefter continuously said likely moving forward.
But again,
and that was a problem.
But like, according to his source, like, how can a source be so reliable on this factually? Like, how, like, if the surgeon if everybody who performs this procedure says you can start running or doing light training in a tennis shoe 4 weeks out because you need the bone to heal, and you can come back 8 to 10 weeks, and Derrick Henry's got 10 weeks of the regular season, and Ian Rappaport's hearing 6 to 10 weeks, and players have been coming back 6 weeks or anywhere in between that window. How can any type of source say definitively out for the season? To me, it seems like Adam Schefter is going extreme to, one, either be right, or two, if he's wrong, nobody cares because Derrick Henry's different. And that is, I think Adam Schefter
nobody will care. It will be, well, that's right. Time moves on. Nobody. Yes. That's why solo hosts that have their own show on Sports Talk Radio, and I'll throw Buck in there too because he's a solo host. But they're Cowherd, guys in Nashville that just talk. They don't have anybody to hold their ass accountable. And it drives me effing crazy. Because, and I say that to say this, it won't matter if Derrick Henry does start to do, and the workout videos will start to trickle in. Best believe, right? Because Derrick Henry's smart. The hype train will happen.
Not do it though.
Oh, I know. I think he will. I think Derrick Henry will go about this very diligently and very intelligently to say, he's the type of guy that will sleep in a hyperbaric chamber if it said that, hey, his foot is going to heal faster, right? They're going to do all, and that's kind of the best part about modern medicine in 2021. I mean, he is $1 million man. He's a multi-million-dollar man. It will just be about his return. It will not be about the report. So we'll remember this conversation, but in 6 weeks when he's doing light work, it will all be about, can he get back, and where are the Titans at that point in time?
Well, if the Titans can, and Al Michaels said this last night to wrap up the broadcast, that the Titans have the easiest schedule left in the NFL, and I went and added it up. On average, the Titans' remaining opponents have 3.1 wins in the season. And the Saints have 5. And, the Steelers play tonight. So it's a very favorable schedule. So the ideal situation is the Titans beat the Saints, you beat the Texans, and you are 9-2. That Patriots game is very important.
Yeah.
But, if you are 9-3 by the time after that Patriots game, and you're 4 weeks after Derrick Henry, then you've got the Jags, and the Steelers is a big one as well, and the bye week. That's a big deal there. If you are 9-3 at your bye week, huge.
You're in a good spot. And the Jarvis is right. We all know this. Patriots are creeping. Mac Jones is getting better. Their defense is playing well. They had a big pick 6 yesterday against Carolina, which Carolina, they could never score touchdowns. I mean, they obviously didn't because it was 24-6, but the Patriots creeping. They're going to give the Bills some fits because, as we talked about yesterday, and I do want to confirm this, the Bills, I believe, still have to play the Patriots twice, and they do. Big time games. Prime time game is their first matchup in Buffalo. 12-6.
They play them. That's the Titans bye week. So, it's the week right after the Titans play the Patriots.
Monday Night Football.
Here's what the Patriots' next 6 games. They got Browns then at Atlanta. They go Browns, Falcons, Titans, Bills, Colts, Bills. I mean, that's it, right? The next 6 games for the Patriots they'll either separate from the Bills or sink.
Before we move on to bad sales jobs, Zach Goodman, because I watched all the NFL games yesterday, says, can we talk about, are the Jags becoming good or not? And Zach, I will tell you, no, they are not. They are not becoming good. They caught the Bills at a really good time at home, and when the Bills' offensive line has been decimated, and the Jags were able to, Josh Allen got after Josh Allen yesterday. And it wasn't just Josh Allen getting after Josh Allen. It was the entire Jags defense. And they really showed the holes of the Bills' offensive line. So I think it was a bad game for the Bills and a good game for the Jags, but I don't think the Jags are going to surge and reel off a bunch of wins. I still think they are who they are.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer's still challenging stupid plays. Like, just challenging to get the crowd hype. It doesn't make any sense.
Urban?
Yeah.
Titans Rossi says 13-4 might get you a number 1 seed in the AFC this season. Oh yeah, but and I tweeted this morning, is that the 2 road games for the Titans that are the most pivotal, I think, are at Patriots, at Steelers, and because I'm those are 2 AFC opponents on the road who are your toughest AFC opponents remaining, and I think if you gotta split those at the very least. So look, if you lose to the Saints, who cares? Who cares? Now you don't need to lose to the Saints because you can beat them because they're not that good, but it doesn't really hurt you all that bad. But I don't disagree that 13-4 can get the first seed, but you don't need to stack up. You don't need to have 2 more AFC losses.
No, you don't. And the good thing is the AFC North and the AFC West are squunching together, right?
Yep.
They're becoming a very good group of football teams, right? They're good divisions. And those good divisions with the Chiefs are going to chief. They're going to come back. The Charge, there's going to be some really good football in the AFC, and the Titans, if they play their cards right and they win the games they're supposed to, can sit back and really just take it in.
And Lucas says you can't lose to this Saints team, though. Well, I mean, you can. The Titans lost to the Jets. I mean, so they can lose. And I get what you're saying there, Lucas, but the Titans are not going, they're going to lose they're going to lose again. They're going to lose another game. That's how the NFL works. Like, they're not going to run the table and go 15-2 and be undefeated without Derrick Henry. So if you're going to lose, my point is lose to the Niners or the Saints. If you're going to lose, they lost the perfect game in the 6 straight AFC games. Zach, you weren't in last week, but I talked about this. Jets, Jags, Colts twice, Bills, Chiefs. If there's one game to lose out of those 6, it's the Jets, and you lost that one. And you beat everybody else that buried the Colts and got you tiebreakers over the Bills and the Chiefs. So, again.
Chad just wants you to keep picking against the Titans. So
we'll see how that goes. We'll see what happens on Sunday. All right, Zach, it is time for Bad Sales Job on this Monday. But real quick, let me tell you guys about the Bone & Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. The Doc Talk segments have been phenomenal, and we're going to bring back Dr. Watson here in about a month or so to get an update on Derrick Henry's recovery, generically on where Derrick Henry might be in the next month with his recovery from his Jones fracture surgery. But boneandjointtn.org, that is where you need to turn to if you ever get hurt in life. They've got over a dozen doctors there at the facility in Franklin that specialize in nearly anything that can go wrong. They can take care of all your joints, and they can get you through the physical therapy part of it as well with their state-of-the-art facility there in Franklin, right off of I-65, easy to get to, boneandjointtn.org.
Come pregame with us. We just were at Mill Creek. This is a home game. We talk about the Saints. The mainstay will be live for all home games. Look at that ruckus crowd. I think that was the AFC Championship game getting lit right there at the mainstay. 2-for-1 Mill Creek drafts. Cannot beat that. That is a damn good time. So pregame and then come afterwards and postgame with us because the party doesn't stop, especially if the Titans beat Trevor Siemian and the New Orleans Saints.
Bad sales job on this Monday. We are 15-15-2 in our bad sales job record. So, Zach, I won the one last week to tie it up. You mentioned that you had to bring the big guns today in order to get the lead back. So, do you want to start?
I can, because it does take a little bit of education.
That's fine.
So I have a question for you, Austin, before we actually start. And the premise of bad sales job, go through the premise of bad sales job because we got a big audience and maybe not everybody has experienced bad sales job, which is our end of show topic on Mondays.
So bad sales job was kind of an organic birth, is that Zach and I run this business, A to Z Sports, and we've got, Zach's got a background in radio sales and we sold the sponsorships to start our business. And so bad sales job, basically we offer up to the other person a bad situation they have to sell. It's like the ketchup popsicle to an Eskimo, right? It's that type of thing where it's a bad situation, but we have to do our best job to sell a bad product. So the way it goes is that Zach will give me a bad sales job topic. I will have 30 seconds to do my best job of selling it. And then I will give Zach his, and he has 30 seconds to do that. After that, you guys vote to be the winner. And it's a race to the first of 20 votes. So all you got to do after we go through it is comment Austin or Zach, and we'll count it up. First to 20 wins that week. We are 15-15, and we have 2 ties.
All right, Austin, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever heard...
Dom is right. Bad sales job was Dom's idea. We will never forget that, Dom. It is a great idea.
That is true. Shout out to Dom. Dom, yes. You'll get the love of the show for that. You know what? Dom, you earned that. Dom, let me give you 2 seconds. I need to give Dom the love of the show. He just earned it. Great job. We're an hour, 9 minutes in, so good job, Dom. All right. Austin, have you ever heard of the Island Boys? Have you ever heard
No.
of the Island Boys?
I don't think so.
Okay. The Island Boys are two Floridians, and you'll see them here in a second, that have gone TikTok viral for their smash hit. And you'll hear their smash hit. It's a viral video. And I knew that this was going to happen. I didn't expect you to know who the Island Boys are. Old Soul, not necessarily. Well, you're on TikTok. You do a good job on our A to Z Sports TikTok. But this is where the Island Boys became viral and became popular. So I'm going to play this video. So you got to get a sense of it. And then I'll give you my bad sales job.
Cause I'm an island boy and I've been trying to make. Oh, I'm an island boy. I'ma just island boy. I'ma just island boy. I'ma get key white grind. You're gonna keep that gun. I'll be just staring at the sun. I'm just out full gazing. I'm like, pull where I'm staying. They're like, you wanna be famous? I'm trying to be out the greatest. I'm a Florida boy. I get a real damn tropic. I'm like the damn on the topic. I'm an island boy. Put my vest on, yeah, like a wagwan man. Try to make it to the top. I'm an island boy. I've been trying to make it. I ain't seen it with a gang slang. You ain't just slang no kind. And through the storm, through the rain. Cause we try home like a line. From the island boy, from the Caribbean. Que yo soy cubano. I'm an island boy. Put my vest on, yeah.
All right. We struggled through the end of that. So, Austin, in 30 seconds, you need to sell us on why the Island Boys need to be our first co-presidents of the United States. That is your bad sales job. These guys need to be president of the United States, and I will leave it at that. But now you kind of know who these guys are. Tell us why those guys need to lead our country.
You got your clock ready?
I'm ready.
In today's United States, it's all about being comfortable in your own skin, and it's all about allowing other people to truly be their real selves. And if the Island Boys can team together to allow everybody else to get out of their comfort zone and to really show their true selves, it'll make our country stronger, more together, and better in a happier, more peaceful place.
What are they going to fix the economy?
The economy be damned.
They're going to fix COVID? Can they solve COVID? They get a good approval rating.
All right, Zach. This is really tough. I don't even know what to do here. I feel like I have to revisit my strategy on bad sales job. Okay, Zach, you have to sell us on why Derrick Henry should be shut down for the rest of the season, because the Titans do not need him to win a Super Bowl.
I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded on this, baby.
I'm trying to get my clock out. On your start.
They showed us that last night. They don't need Derrick Henry. It's all about the defense. If the defense plays superb and continues to pressure the quarterbacks, they've already shown that they can get to Josh Allen and disrupt him. Fourth down, no sir. They've already said that Patrick Mahomes only scored 3 points. They don't need Derrick Henry because Ryan Tannehill and this offense, A.J. Brown will improve. He'll clean up the drops. Julio Jones will be the true Julio Jones. The Titans will win the Super Bowl without Derrick Henry because of their defense and their offense and superb coaching from Mike Vrabel.
All right. So, I probably said that. I think I did a good job though, but, that was just a tough situation. All right. Who won, Austin or Zach? That's all you got to do. Raise to 20. Who won, Austin or Zach? And then I will start I will start the counting. So let's see. Jarrell says Zach. Cam says Zach. There's Jarrell again. So we are 2-0. Let's see. 3-0 Zach. 4-0 Zach. That's not a vote. 5-0 Zach. 6-0, 7-0, 8-0. 9-0.
I think you're probably gonna have to.
I think I
know. I thought you did a good job.
I did a great job with it.
I did it for entertainment value, and I also wanted you to see what you're going to say, right? And the Island Boys, they're hot right now.
No, I will never look at the Island Boys again. But I thought my sales job was pretty damn good. I thought I did a great job. I think this was a tie.
Oh, you think this is a tie? Your ass must be crazy.
No, I'm kidding. You definitely won that one. Sean says Austin wins because Zach played those idiots on the show. Jacob says Austin.
That's fair. That's fair. I didn't want to, but I knew I couldn't allow you to sell something that you just literally had zero clue on, right? You've sold stuff that maybe you haven't seen, but
Yes, and Michael, I was not prepared to battle that. I was not, and so.
Well, look, it's just like anything. It's like in the finals, you get down 2-0, you got to come out in game 3 when your backs are against the wall.
And that's why you're up 16-15-2 is because it goes that way. It's like I got complacent because I won a couple, and then Zach went heavy because he lost a couple, and so it'll get back and forth. It just goes. It goes all over the place.
Well, great show, guys. Hey, appreciate everybody that's watched. We've had some massive shows the last 2 days, and we love bringing the content to you guys. The comments have been superb, and the Titans are obviously surging, which is great, but we've got you covered. We do this 5 days a week, really 7 days a week, but A2ZSports.com, we've got you covered there, all of our social media outlets. But for these shows, and Buck Rising is going to do a show tonight, which I'm curious about his experience from LA. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. A lot more people. We are growing in a great way. Our TikToks are on fire. Speaking of the Island Boys, get you some of that on A to Z Sports Nashville. And obviously Facebook and Twitter. We've got you covered. We're a full service digital media company that cover the Titans. Vols, they're surging too. So a lot to talk about here on A to Z Sports.
Yeah, Steven says, throw a like up before you go. Yeah, if you're on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscription. We'd appreciate that as that platform continues to grow. Excuse me. So we will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Buck live tonight on primetime. Don't forget the A to Z Sports Podcast Network with new content out throughout the week as well. See you guys later on. Have a good one.